Hi, everyone, and welcome to our eTail webinar with Mountain. It's beginning to look a lot like normal, how retailers are navigating a post-COVID holiday. Thank you for joining us. Today, we'll dive into data-driven insights on how retailers are leveraging CTV to create powerful, better performing advertising campaigns and what to expect in 2023. And now, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Kristen from Mountain.
Thank you. And hi, everyone. First and foremost, thank you for taking the time to join us today as I discuss how the retail marketing world has changed and what we can expect in this first post-COVID holiday season. Mountain and Worldwide Business Research polled leading retailers on their insights and strategies, and in the spirit of the season, we're going to share our findings with you today. So as mentioned, my name is Kristen Navarro. I am Director of Customer Success at Mountain. But without further ado, I will dive right into the reason we are all here. Overarching theme here really comes down to how marketers can leverage changing behaviors, new technology, new strategies to maximize retail opportunities this holiday season. As we all know, things have changed a lot in the last couple of years, and it's imperative to really adjust accordingly to stay top of mind. So as far as the agenda goes, this afternoon, I'll be covering off on four main topics. One, why this holiday is such a huge opportunity for retailers, how senior retail marketers are updating their ad strategies and budgets accordingly, how marketers are specifically leveraging channels like CTV to maximize holiday opportunities this year. And lastly, what new marketing tactics and tools have emerged for CTV that really produce holiday size returns all year long, and not just this year, what that means for 2023 as well. So while we all have lots of things to be thankful for and lots to celebrate, this holiday season, retailers specifically have a lot to celebrate as we continue to see the world, return to some level of normalcy, I guess we can say, and what this means for consumer behavior this Q4. So what we can do is really dive into the numbers, kind of what we found from this survey results, and showcase what we can expect to see in the upcoming holiday season. From an online sales perspective, we're forecasting $5.5 trillion in sales. And the big thing to note is we finally passed that $5 trillion threshold for the first time. So no small feat there. 74% of consumers expect to spend the same or more this holiday season than last year. And the average person will spend just under $1,500 on holiday gifts this year. So needless to say, we have a big holiday season ahead of us, and lots of opportunity for all of us to be capitalizing on. So despite all of these very positive trends and things that we're loving to see, I don't want to ignore the elephant in the room with some level of uncertainty this year. Obviously, there's concerns around economic conditions and fears of inflation, and we're already starting to see some impact there. But there's a lot of unknown. But one thing that we do know, and one thing that we can unbox here, is how consumer expectations and behaviors have changed since the pandemic, and how retailers kind of need what they need to do to stay on top of those changing trends. So, I think that the biggest thing, and I can definitely speak for myself here too when I say this, the convenience factor of holiday shopping still seems to be the number one priority. We're expecting fast, free shipping and delivery. We shop around for ideal price points, and we focus more on company missions than we ever have before previously. We've all gotten very accustomed to a world of digital shopping, with holiday gifts arriving at our front doors. So one question many of us are asking is if we will return to brick-and-mortar stores, or if this trend and increase in online shopping will continue for years to come. And while I don't have the exact answer to that question, one thing that has been crystal clear from our findings is that today's consumers have adopted an omni-channel approach to shopping, where we're going to engage with a variety of channels, different places, see things on different devices, to research products and services before we buy. Doing a little less impulse shopping and instead spending that time and research before making purchase decisions. And this ranges from, small and large purchases. So what that means for retailers is, to keep up with this ever evolving environment and that we're living and operating in, retailers also need to stay at the forefront and adopt this omni-channel approach. One way to do that is making CTV a focal point of the strategy. What this does is it not only elevates your brand status, but keeps you top of mind for customers as they navigate through that omni-channel shopping journey. So to really dive into the how and the why marketers are using channels like CTV in their holiday plans, Mountain and Worldwide Business Research pulled 100 leading marketers in the US and Canada, and I'm excited to share some of our findings with you today. So one may ask, what's the top priority with this omni-channel approach? Results are showing it's so critical to have this, this approach. What's the hot ticket item that we should not be overlooking in this Q4? And really that comes down to connected TV. And what I want all of us to understand is like the how and the why this channel is gaining so much popularity and traction. As many of us know, linear TV has historically been the standard, but we've seen some interesting shifts in this post-COVID world. Many retailers are seeing less effective results. They're seeing declining viewership, and that's a large contributing factor to this shift. And even for the first time this summer, streaming overtook broadcast and cable TV as the most watched format. So as you can see from the results on your screen, in terms of what retailers are using this year, it's pretty neck and neck. 81% of retailers polled are running connected TV ads, while 82% of retailers are running linear TV ads. So, obviously not a huge difference there. But while CTV ads are matching linear in terms of popularity, they are outperforming in terms of measurement. I think a large, contributor to this consumption shift that we saw is people spending time in the pandemic, subscribing to more streaming services, many of which had a rise in ad-supported offerings, which works out well for many of us in the industry. People really started to use CTV as kind of that window to the outside world when we were once very much stuck indoors. And what it really comes down to is how we have embraced this new form of consuming content and this new form of consuming ads. And I think one way we were so easily able to embrace that is how relevant they are to, the specific viewer or household. And it's that relatability element that really, really drives better performance. So not only are our brands eager to leverage the storytelling capabilities of a video in the form of TV ads, but they've also come to rely on tracking and measurement capabilities and like the digital performance marketing element, which really brings me to my next point around measurement. So when it comes to measurement, we asked brands how effective each channel is at measuring direct response performance and tying that success to specific goals, with return on ad spend being kind of the most widely used metric that we hear. While there are many others that are equally as important, I'm going to kind of focus on that for now. One thing that we did learn is that 22% said linear TV is very effective, while 61% said CTV is very effective. The biggest differentiator there is being able to accurately measure CTV's impact to a company's top line. And that's what's really allowed this channel to climb up the popularity chain amongst marketers. Now, my first thought, and I'm sure yours as well, is, okay, what about this 1% that said, it's not effective? And so obviously I want to drill down into the factors that played into that response. And many said that the two leading factors that, swayed them to believe that CTV isn't effective was due to, one, the lack of time and resources for conducting ad performance analysis, And then the second being, the platform used places too much emphasis on awareness and reach goals, and instead of the more tangible metrics like return on ad spend that align with really their business needs and challenges. So, what it sounds like to me is for that 1%, they really do need like a premier CTV ad platform that better aligns with what are their core advertising objectives and what channels are going to enable them to achieve those in a way that they can see from a top and bottom line standpoint and have the results and the data to justify that. So whether that be focusing on site traffic or, efficient customer acquisition costs or return on ad spend, what retailers need to see are metrics that are actually going to move the needle for their business and enable them to make, data-backed decisions in the future. And all of this goes into, planning for Q4, what we expect this holiday season, but really like the underlying theme here is not just specific for holiday. It really does kind of feed into 2023 and years to come. So needless to say, I know we've mentioned this quite a bit. We've seen significant growth in the CTV space in the last couple of years. And I believe, and everyone at Mountain believes, we expect that trend to continue in the years to come, especially as we see new streaming services pop up, more ad-supported networks, the continuing of viewership changes. And then at the end of the day, the promising results are what really solidifies the effectiveness of this medium. So I'll take some time to dive into, the specific strategies that savvy retailers are starting to leverage more and more. But the overarching theme really comes down to, CTV being that effective channel at reaching the right audience using its audience first approach. So big difference here is instead of buying media connected to specific programming and making assumptions around, who may be consuming that content and are we reaching the right user, we use interest, behavioral, demographic data to, confidently reach an advertiser's ideal persona. So there's a little less risk involved in that scenario. What this does is it allows for more tailored messaging and creative, and ensures that the budget that you're spending is being spent on audiences and households that are most likely to engage with your brand. Again, I can only speak for myself here, but when I'm seeing ads catered specifically to my online behavior, my interests, attributes, my demographics, I'm not only more likely to capture my attention and really engage with the ad on my screen, but I'm also more likely and encouraged to take action. And I do this in my day-to-day, not because I work in the industry, but because it genuinely impacts my purchase decisions. So, with that, another strategy marketers are capitalizing on more and more is kind of the capability to geo-target. What this does, and it's pretty self-explanatory from the name, but for those that don't know, geo-targeting allows specific ads to be served to exact geographical locations. This could be anywhere from like specific regions, states, DMAs, cities, and even down to the zip code level, if it makes sense for your brand to get that granular. The biggest benefit with this strategy is the ability to promote products, or services that are geographically appropriate with customized creative based on that location. So for example, a clothing retailer can feature, their top winter clothes and geo-target that creative to colder northern states, and then continue serving creative with swimwear and sunglasses to states in the Sun Belt that don't experience such drastic seasonal changes. I, for one, am based in Southern California, and while temperatures definitely cool down, the products most relevant to me and my family here are going to be very different, from those in states like Wisconsin, Montana, and much colder places. So having the creative that speaks to me specifically based on where I'm located goes a long way when it comes to kind of the bottom line performance of those efforts. Another feature that's popped up on, retail advertisers' playbooks recently is this opportunity to leverage affinity-based targeting to reach potential customers who may not have engaged with your brand, but have a strong interest and or have engaged with your competitors. And this is what we often call competitive conquesting. What this does is it creates avenues to develop brand loyalty with net new customers and unlocks opportunities for brands to expand their audience and encourage shopping habits that may last a lifetime. What we often discuss is like, it's great getting new customers in the door, getting them to make that first time purchase, but the lifetime value of that customer goes a long, long way. And CTV is one way of ensuring that you're getting in front of that new customer, for potentially new customer once they make that first purchase, and then continuing to engage with that user to really keep your brand top of mind as they navigate, additional products and services that they may need in the future. All that said, while the different targeting capabilities that we mentioned, geo-targeting being one, audience and affinity-based targeting, being another, those are key levers used to improve CTV campaign performance this holiday season and beyond. But, the performance is only as good as the data. So what retailers need is the robust reporting and insights to really maximize every ad dollar, drill down into the results of these efforts and making sure that, they're using their money wisely. So speaking of robust reporting, it's imperative to have the ability to slice and dice your data in a way that gives you, actionable insights and learnings to use for future efforts. That's very advantageous, not just during holiday season, but really year round. Being able to tell a story and take some of the data, some of the learnings from your data and leverage that in future campaigns is really when we start to see, advertisers thrive the most. One day we at Mountain are doing that is through our audience segment reporting capability. So what that does is it lets you analyze performance at the individual segment level to discover, your most valuable audience or categories of households or different types of audiences, or what general themes can we derive from that data, use that to inform future audience optimizations, whether that be by adding, new similar segments, or maybe even removing some of the ones that aren't performing well and are surprising us. And that data is so important to utilize and leverage in future campaigns to really help an advertiser find their niche market. Secondly, our recently launched incrementality reporting lets marketers make more effective optimizations and investment decisions based on measuring incremental outcomes, which comes up so frequently. The importance is there. Marketers today, they need to understand exactly how their investment contributes to the actual lift in conversions and revenue, as opposed to outcomes they may have generated anyway. So having the data that can show that true lift really justifies, the ability to spend and continue spending in a specific channel. So we have transparent, always on, and easy to understand incrementality reporting that gives retailers these insights, at no additional cost, which is always nice to hear, to ensure that they're advertising, investing, and scaling with confidence. Now, the final piece of the puzzle here has to do with creative. And while it's the final piece of the puzzle, I will say it's definitely one of the most important. While the actual elements of the creative itself are critical, are you focusing on your core values and offerings? Are you staying true to your brand look and feel? Is your logo and branding present throughout the entire creative? Do you have a personal element and a strong CTA? All of those features are definitely best practices. And as long as you're doing that, that's amazing. But it also comes down to how frequently you're refreshing that content. So, with CTV, the nimbleness there that we have is you're able to easily update creative really as often as you'd like. As we all know, I'm sure most of us, on the line here today are connected TV and streaming TV consumers, and we know creative fatigue is a real thing. Seeing the same commercial over and over again, starts to hinder brand perception. We get annoyed, we get irritated, we are more likely to, change the channel or turn off our TV. So that further emphasizes the importance of kind of refreshing creative on a frequent basis. So kind of having that ability to easily swap creative and just kind of a few short clicks, that really helps combat that creative ad fatigue, and build awareness, excitement, and joy, which are all particularly important during the holidays. Really to stay at the forefront of consumers' minds, especially as we enter into the kind of peak shopping season in the next month or so, it's really highly encouraged to leverage creative that highlights anything really that's happening, on your site. There's a new upcoming sale or promotion or a new product offering or service, even something like a store opening or anything. We highly encourage you to leverage that messaging in your connected TV creative, and really all creative that you're running across all marketing channels, and keep it up to date. So, Black Friday and Cyber Monday coming up. I know there's often different promotions on Friday than there are on the weekends. Monday might even have a new excitement. And then sometimes there's extensions through Cyber Week. It's important to have creative that speaks to the promotion on that giving day. Anything that helps excite and really incentivize your audience is key to leverage. So not only having all the core creative elements there, but refreshing them often are going to be the keys to success this holiday season. Now, we talked a lot about holiday and how retailers should navigate this first post-COVID holiday season, but we can't forget to look ahead into 2023 and beyond. And I obviously want to share some insights there too. One thing we know and have verified with the survey results here is that retailers' adoption of CTV to reach and convert customers shows really no sign of slowing down, even after the holiday season passes. Didn't slow down last year after holiday season. It's kind of only been on this upwards incline, and we expect that to continue through the holidays and into next year. Specifically, kind of looking at the stats, 95% of retailers polled said CTV will play a significant role in their omni-channel retail marketing strategy over the next 12 months. So well beyond Q4. Of course, my first question was, why did that 5% say CTV will not play a significant role? And that really came down to, issues had with manual TV platforms, and challenges placing CTV ads alongside premium inventory. So, we asked with more automated systems and more guarantees of premium placements, we could probably quickly turn that 5% into part of the 100% that will be leveraging CTV as an optimal part of their strategy into 2023. So CTV has become, a really powerful tool for advertisers, and it's a complement to their digital strategies. And we saw this again in the results here. 83% expect their digital ad budgets to increase in the next year. 65% of those say they will increase their digital budgets significantly. Again, a great problem for us to have in the industry. But it's also interesting to see really like how the breakdown of ad channels is being prioritized in next year. So we all know, this omni-channel approach is important. So it's really interesting to see what, in addition to CTV, what does that consist of? So as you can see on your screen, a quick breakdown of where the results netted out. 94% will be prioritizing mobile ads, whether that's in-app ads or push notifications. 92% will leverage social media, a lot of different platforms. This is all encompassing. 88% will leverage pay-per-click ads, 87% display ads, and 86% CTV ads. Now, again, this is just kind of the top 5 priority channels. well aware there's others out there, but obviously wanted to highlight those that are getting the majority of the prioritization of budget in this upcoming year. So with that, CTV represents a big opportunity. It's a channel that's growing in popularity. It complements other ad channels, and as of now has fairly low competition. But that said, as digital ad spend grows and CTV continues to gain popularity with both retailers and consumers, we imagine this channel continuing to rise in priority. Which leads me to kind of reiterate that not all CTV solutions are created equal. Many really just focus on impressions and reach without offering the tools and reporting capabilities to show measurable direct response actions as a result. So there are premium CTV platforms like Mountain's Performance TV that allows brands to maximize the abilities of CTV, whatever your performance metrics are. So, retailers and brands dictate what their goals and what's most important to them. And we enable our CTV capabilities to show with our reporting that we can actually hit and measure against those specific metrics that they claim are the most important. So there's a number of ways that we do that, whether that be through the types of, large screen devices and premium inventory that we serve on and call living room quality TV, or through an attribution model that follows consumers as they navigate purchase decisions through different household devices. I know I will see an ad on my TV screen and maybe later that afternoon come across it on my mobile device. And then a day later, it pops up again, on my laptop as I'm in the middle of navigating a work day. Needless to say, we all are not only omni-channel consumers, but we are omni-device consumers as well. And it's important to kind of follow that user through their journey wherever they are. In addition to that, robust reporting capabilities. We talked about different optimization strategies, being able to test, whether that be creative testing or audience testing. There's a number of different angles that we can take from a testing standpoint to really drive results and drive leverageable results for future efforts. And I think the key takeaway with all of that is how important it is for retail marketers to leverage, changing behaviors and using avenues like CTV to maximize the big opportunities of what we're calling our first post-COVID holiday season. So now I know I've done quite a bit of talking in the last 30 minutes, and we've covered a lot of content. But if there were 4 points that I'd love for you to take home today and then really just take away from this session, it's the following. Number one, retailers have a lot to celebrate this holiday season. Consumer spend is high, it's looking higher than ever, and it's a great opportunity to really build brand loyalty and kind of stay at the forefront of your audience. Secondly, retail marketers are shifting their ad strategies from linear TV to CTV to keep up with demand, measure metrics like return on ad spend, and use CTV to complement their existing ad strategies. Third, today's consumers now take an omni-channel approach to shopping, and therefore advertisers need to be taking an omni-channel approach to kind of continue to get in front of them. And lastly, consumer behavior isn't, the only thing that's changed during COVID. There's a lot of new technology, a lot of new streaming services, a lot of new tactics that have really unlocked, new opportunities within the space, within CTV specifically. So with that, I would love to see if anyone in attendance has any questions that they'd like answered today.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much, Kristen, for going through all that. And I'm sure everyone found that super helpful and was probably jotting down a ton of notes during it. So with that, we'll get into the Q&A portion of this webinar. So the first one here is, can you share the breakdown of the retail brands interviewed for the study?
Yes, I can do that. And in fact, as a follow-up, from this session, everyone will be receiving this deck, which includes a QR code for you to scan and view the full results, but I'm more than happy to summarize, on the spot here. So the study surveyed 100 retail marketing and strategy leaders from the US and Canada from a wide variety of retail categories and a wide variety of company sizes. So, the types of retailers were, I would say, pretty evenly distributed. 94% of them represented direct to consumer brands. We had some department stores, specialty retail, sporting goods, toys, and hobbies. I think those each represented 8% of the total respondents. But then our results also included retailers in the entertainment, electronics, home furnishings, supermarkets, pet space, and many more. So needless to say, a wide variety, of industries, of verticals, were all kind of wrapped up into this survey.
All right, awesome. And so the next one here is, did your data show economic concerns having an impact on retailer ad spend this year?
So this is an interesting question, because upon first glance, I would say we didn't see, a large impact of the economic concerns. Now, that said, there is a lot of economic uncertainty at the moment, and, that there is some unknown there. But I think the good news for retailers is that consumers are still spending, especially for the holidays and important upcoming events. And, one finding that I mentioned and that I found that super interesting is, that I think it was 75% of consumers expect to spend the same or more this year than last holiday season, but also that the average person is likely to spend, I think, just under $1,500 on gifts alone. So that being said, there's a lot of opportunities for retailers to target and convert new customers, create that brand loyalty that we spoke to, and really shape and influence future purchase decisions. And I think all of that goes into why we're seeing that majority of retailers are increasing digital spend, because they don't want to miss out on the consumption that's going to be happening this holiday.
Great, thank you. So the next one comes from, so this is related to a regional retail chain. So they're asking, would connected TV still be beneficial for a brand their size?
Yeah, I mean, not having too much detail into the actual size, I will say that connected TV is beneficial for advertisers, big or small. And we see that on a day-to-day basis. There's a pretty large range in the types of, the size of advertisers that we work with. And we see extremely effective results as long as it's set up for success, from the get-go. And the ways you would do that is by leveraging, specific audience segments that are most relevant to your region or wherever that may be. So having that variety of audiences to work with enable you to go really, really broad or very specific, if that makes more sense for, a regional brand. There are capabilities from a first-party targeting standpoint for retargeting efforts, third-party data to focus on customer acquisition, or even leveraging CRM data if you have that. So there's a number of different ways that brands, big or small, can leverage CTV to really find current and potentially new customers. And what I would suggest in general is kind of leveraging and testing a mix of all of them, and using the data to really determine what is working well for your brand, what isn't, and making modifications from there.
Great. And do you see value in continuing to run social and paid search ads alongside CTV? And any tips on aligning those channels to complement one another?
I do, yes. I think this kind of goes back to the omni-channel approach that we were chatting through. So, paid search and social are still very important parts of the marketing mix, and, to run alongside your connected TV efforts. And what brands tend to see most often is this kind of halo effect from connected TV on their social and paid search campaigns, as many users tend to, they may be engaged and be influenced by that connected TV ad first, but may end up converting after clicking, another low funnel tactic like paid search. So, going back to what we talked about, like consumers are shopping and researching and reviewing multiple channels before making a purchase decision. So it's really important for all brands to be present on a variety of channels. That's what really helps elevate your brand status, creating that kind of holistic experience across different channels and having that messaging be consistent, to make sure that it is recognizable and that anything that you highlighted in your video is kind of being capitalized on in some of your other channel creatives as well. One thing that we do see a lot of, with advertisers that do leverage multiple channels is they'll do like a shortened or condensed version of their connected TV video on social channels to have that cohesive messaging, across the journey.
Right. And so the last question I see here in the Q&A section is, we're interested in deploying ads on CTV, but production costs can be expensive, especially when some marketing teams are tightening their belts right now. Do you have any advice on getting past this barrier to entry?
I do. Well, and I will say that, producing quality video content, like we get it. It's very challenging. It's very costly. And there are different ways that we're seeing retailers kind of pay for production costs, knowing that it's such kind of a pivotal aspect of their strategy. Like they know the importance. It's just a matter of like, okay, well, how can we get the content to get us there? What we are seeing is some brands are kind of pulling budget from some underperforming, kind of less impactful marketing budgets and channels to cover the cost of creative production. Well, let's say that's not the scenario that you're in, like everything is thriving and you still just need that quality asset. They're really, marketers are kind of thinking strategically about where CTV fits in the mix and having to move around funds to accommodate that, whatever that may be. At Mountain specifically, we believe that everyone should be on CTV, which is why we're helping to solve some of these, creative production challenges that many of us are facing with our creative as a subscription model. What that does is it offers, or it enables brands, like yourself to receive like custom made high quality CTV creative for simply spending money on CTV media. So we're doing that to really bring a lot of advertisers into the TV world for the first time. It's hard to kind of step their toe into the water there. And we want to make it as easy as possible to do so. And we do that by offering these creative services and expanding the TV ad landscape and kind of removing that large barrier that you mentioned.
All right, awesome. All right, well, all right, so that is the time we have for Q&A at the moment, but if we didn't get to your question right now, we'll be sure to send a follow-up via email. So that being said, thank you so much to our audience for joining us today, and also a huge thank you and a round of applause to Kristen for this amazing presentation and speaking. So if you're curious and want to learn more about the topic, there's also a full report that has the information on it with all these statistics and where everything came from. So if you want to learn more about this topic more in depth, please scan this QR code to download your version of the full report. And also in terms of logistics, you can also look forward to receiving an on-demand link to this presentation directly to your email box as well. So please keep a lookout for that. So with that, I'll bring this program to an end. On behalf of Mountain, ETEL, and the WBR Insights team, we thank you for your time today, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.